In the dim glow of stage lights, a hush fell over the packed auditorium as a young girl, no more than 16, was led onto the platform by a gentle guide. Her eyes, hidden behind dark sunglasses, stared into an unseen void, but her voice, oh, her voice, was about to shatter the silence like a crystal dawn. This was no ordinary talent show, it was a national spectacle broadcast live, where dreams clashed with reality, and tonight, fate had scripted a twist no one could predict. As she gripped the microphone, her fingers trembling slightly, the audience leaned forward, hearts unknowingly on the brink of an emotional avalanche. Little did she know, one of the judges watching from the panel was the father she thought she'd lost forever. If this story tugs at your heartstrings already, hit that like button and subscribe for more tales that remind us of life's hidden miracles, because stories like this one don't just entertain, they heal. Her name was Lila, a girl whose world had been painted in shades of darkness since a tragic accident at age 5 robbed her of her sight. Born in a small coastal town where the ocean's roar was her constant companion, Lila grew up with a single mother, Elena, who worked 2 jobs as a waitress and a seamstress to keep their modest home afloat. Elena's eyes, weary from years of worry, often brimmed with unshed tears as she watched her daughter navigate life with unyielding grace. "You're my light, Lila," Elena would whisper during their quiet evenings, braiding her daughter's long, auburn hair. But beneath that grace lay a storm of challenges, the bullying at school from kids who called her the ghost girl because she moved so silently, the endless doctor visits where specialists shook their heads, explaining that a rare retinal surgery could restore her vision, but at a cost of $50,000, a fortune they could never scrape together. Lila's blindness wasn't just a physical barrier, it was a cage that trapped her dreams, making her feel like an outsider in her own life. Yet, music became Lila's escape, her secret superpower. It started with her mother's old radio, crackling tunes from the 80s that filled their tiny kitchen. Lila would hum along, her pitch-perfect voice mimicking the greats like Whitney Houston and Adele. By 10, she was teaching herself piano by touch, her fingers dancing over keys she'd memorized through sheer determination. "Singing makes me see colors," she'd tell Elena, her face lighting up in a way that broke her mother's heart. But as Lila entered her teens, the weight of their reality pressed harder. Elena's health began to falter, exhaustion from overwork leading to fainting spells, and Lila knew she had to act. The surgery wasn't just for her, it was for them, to lift the burden so Elena could rest. When flyers for the national talent show, Stars of Tomorrow, appeared in town, promising a $100,000 prize, Lila saw her chance. "Mom, this could change everything," she said, her voice steady despite the fear knotting her stomach. Auditions were grueling, hours of waiting in echoing halls, performing for indifferent scouts who dismissed her as inspirational but not marketable. But Lila's rendition of Hallelujah left them speechless, earning her a spot in the finals. The challenge? Facing a live audience of thousands, judges known for their brutal honesty, and the gnawing doubt that her disability might overshadow her talent. As the show progressed through preliminary rounds, Lila's story began to unfold on national TV, capturing hearts across the country. Viewers tuned in not just for the glitz but for her raw vulnerability. In interviews, she spoke of her dreams, to see her mother's face clearly for the first time in years, to watch the sunset over the ocean, to pursue music without the shadows of pity. Backstage, she formed unlikely bonds with other contestants, a cocky rapper named Jax who taught her street slang to loosen up her nerves, and a shy dancer, Mia, who became her confidant, describing the crowd's reactions in vivid detail. But challenges mounted. A rival contestant, Vanessa, a polished pop star wannabe with a wealthy family backing her, spread whispers that Lila was playing the sympathy card. It stung, reopening old wounds from schoolyard taunts. One night, after a particularly harsh rehearsal where the bright lights disoriented her even more, Lila broke down in Elena's arms. "What if I'm not enough, Mom? What if they only see the blind girl, not the singer?" Elena, fighting her own tears, held her close. "You are more than enough, my love. Your voice carries your soul, let them hear it. This moment of doubt became a turning point, fueling Lila's resolve to pour everything into her final performance. Meanwhile, unbeknownst to Lila, one of the judges, Marcus Hale, sat in the panel with a secret heavier than the gold records lining his office walls. Marcus was a music mogul, a Grammy-winning producer who'd risen from humble beginnings to stardom. But his past was a ghost he couldn't outrun. 17 years ago, in that same coastal town, he'd been a young aspiring musician married to Elena. Their life was simple but filled with love, until a heated argument over his relentless touring schedule led to a bitter separation. Marcus left, chasing fame, leaving behind a pregnant Elena who never told him about the child. He'd sent money anonymously over the years, haunted by guilt, but pride kept him from returning. Now, at 45, with a string of failed relationships and a hollow mansion, Marcus judged the show as a way to give back. When Lila's audition tape crossed his desk, something stirred, a familiarity in her voice, an echo of Elena's laughter in her inflections. He dismissed it at first, but as he watched her live, the resemblance hit like a tidal wave, the same auburn hair, the determined tilt of her chin. DNA tests confirmed his suspicions in secret, but revealing himself now could shatter her focus. The internal conflict tore at him, the judge who preached authenticity, hiding the biggest truth of all. The night of the finals arrived like a storm brewing over the horizon. The auditorium buzzed with anticipation, celebrities in the front rows, cameras capturing every gasp. Lila was last to perform, her slot building unbearable tension. As she stepped on stage, guided by Mia, the crowd erupted in applause. She removed her sunglasses, revealing milky eyes that saw nothing but felt everything, the warmth of the spotlight, the collective breath of the audience. "This song is for my mom," she announced softly, "and for anyone who's ever felt lost in the dark." Her voice launched into "Rise Up" by Andra Day, each note a lifeline thrown into the abyss. It started soft, vulnerable, mirroring her fears, then built to a crescendo of power that brought tears to eyes nationwide. Judges scribbled furiously, Marcus gripped his pen so hard it nearly snapped, his heart pounding as memories flooded back, of singing lullabies to Elena's belly, of the life he abandoned. The performance ended in thunderous ovation, but the real drama was just beginning. In the judging phase, the panel deliberated on camera. The other judges praised her technique, her emotion, but Vanessa's flashy pop number had dazzled with pyrotechnics. Marcus, his voice steady despite the turmoil, spoke last. "Lila, your voice isn't just beautiful, it's a beacon. You've overcome more than most could imagine." As votes tallied, Lila won by a narrow margin, the prize money hers. But in the aftermath, as confetti rained down, Marcus approached her backstage. "Lila," he said, his voice cracking, "there's something you need to know." Elena, watching from the wings, froze. The revelation unfolded in private, tears, accusations, forgiveness. Marcus explained his absence, his regrets, how he'd followed her life from afar. Lila, touching his face with tentative fingers, whispered, "I always wondered what my father's voice sounded like." The reunion wasn't instant magic, years of pain couldn't vanish overnight, but it sparked healing. With the prize, Lila underwent the surgery successfully, her first sight being Elena's smiling face, followed by Marcus's tear-streaked one. Months later, Lila's story became legend. She released her debut album, produced by Marcus, blending soulful ballads with messages of resilience. Challenges lingered, adjusting to sight brought overwhelming sensory overload, therapy sessions mended family bonds, and public scrutiny tested her spirit. But resolutions came through love. Elena's health improved with rest, Jax and Mia remained lifelong friends, and even Vanessa apologized, inspired by Lila's grace. The family rebuilt, holidays filled with music and laughter, proving that second chances bloom from the ashes of mistakes. This tale of Lila reminds us that life's darkest moments can lead to the brightest dawns. Perseverance isn't about never falling, it's about rising with a song in your heart. No matter your struggles, be it loss, doubt, or hidden truths, family, in whatever form it takes, can be the light that guides you home. If this story moved you, smash that like button, subscribe for more inspiring narratives, and share it with someone who needs a reminder that miracles hide in plain sight. Because in the end, we're all just one voice away from changing everything.